Welcome, you guys. So excited that you joined me tonight for again another episode. Now, we had our launch 2 weeks ago. It had a storm that stormed us in, cut off all our power in Texas, turned off all the water. But no worries, you guys. We are back, and we are back for another episode with Men Do Talk, as we focus tonight, you guys, on a really good episode. Our topic tonight is, why is it that men struggle to not only connect with other men, but to truly have a brotherhood and stick together? And I think we're going to uncover something really deep, something that goes beyond men bonding with other men. And I am excited because I've got my brothers in the house with me tonight. And I know that they have no problem telling the truth and nothing but the truth. So you guys, with that, welcome tonight. We're going to go ahead and get the guys in the house to join me here. Really excited. Man, good evening, brothers. How are y'all doing? What's going on, people?
Good, sis. How you doing?
Doing really good. Excited for tonight. Excited for this topic that I just truly believe is a good topic to talk about. You know, especially when it comes to, you know, men and bonding and connecting, which we all know is something that is really important. But we, as not just women, but you as men know, this is an area that men truly struggle in, is when it comes to not only hooking up with some brothers, but staying together, you guys. And so I'm excited to welcome you. Hey, Q, how are you doing tonight? Q's all leaned back.
I'm doing good. Hanging.
Okay, well, I'm excited that you're here. Let me see if I can just move you a little closer. You guys are chilled tonight. I can really tell that I'm going to have to go work extra hard to get you guys in the mood with me tonight to talk and everything, but that's okay. I know I have no problem doing that. Let's get you closer, Q, which means everybody can see everything you're doing now. You can't just be chilling. So now I'm going to go over here to Byron. Byron, how are you doing tonight?
Mighty fine. What was that you said you was going to inspire me? What was that?
I'm going to have to work a little extra hard to get you guys motivated, is what I said tonight.
You qualified, sis. Go for it.
All right, I appreciate that. So excited
That
that you're with
sounds like
me.
a challenge.
Come on.
I know, right?
Come on now, Brother Jeff, speaking of, I'm really excited because I saw your post where you were welcoming yourself back to the love of your life, Gold's Gym, all early this morning. So you got a workout in this morning, didn't you, brother?
Yeah, you know, I'm taking control back, you know, so I'm trying not to get old. So 5:30 this morning at the gym. And I actually started fasting here recently, too. So it's been an interesting process.
Oh, I bet. We're going to lift you up, brother. Hang in there. So excited. But I love your post because it was way early in the morning when you posted that. It was still nighttime. So I know you got it in early. So good to see you tonight. And then Mr. I Am the Gym over here, all chilled back. They are all just sitting back chilling. Xavier, how are you doing tonight, brother? That's right. That's okay. I have no problem.
Mr. I Am the Gym.
You are Mr. I Am
That's funny.
the Gym.
I'm doing great. I can't complain. I'm excited to see Jeff in the gym. That makes me quite exciting.
Come on.
It excites me. So that's a good thing, especially, you know, we're all getting older and stuff. So I know I'm like the youngest out the group, but I feel like I have like the most pain all the time. And they're like, man, be quiet. You're young. And I'm like, man, I don't know what's wrong with me, but okay. But yeah, so I don't know. It's good. It's a good thing to see him. I'm doing great though, sis.
That's good. All right, you guys. So we are definitely going to get started, you know, because we've got a house full of questions and we've got a house full of people. And so let me just do my welcomes with everybody that we've got on before we get started. I even got all of my messages that y'all have been posting is all big up here. And oh my goodness, good evening to you, Sister Marilyn. So excited that you're here. Excited. Hello, also beautiful. Back at you, Teresa. So excited you're here. Sister Christy, I realized in the evening, I'm like, man, we didn't have our call today. So I'll be calling you tomorrow so we can follow up from our call last week. Really excited to get on the phone with you and excited that you've joined me. This is your second time this week, girl. You're cranking it up. You're doing a boot camp style. That's what I'm talking about. And then, oh, my beautiful friend, Virginia, so excited that you've joined me as well. Man, all the way over to the left in the U.S. And let me also welcome others that we've got on with us tonight. Man, excited to have you, Karina Stipik. Welcome, my beautiful friend. Always excited to have you and your husband, Tim, in the house. So I'm hoping he's doing a shout out to me so that I can see that here in a little bit. Man, also Terry, hello. I love that, Terry. Big Muff Peyton. I love that. So excited that you joined me tonight. I really do like that. Man, also welcome Kenrick Lacayo. So excited you've joined me tonight. Anderson Martinez, so excited that you've joined me tonight as well. Sister Sarah, so excited that you're in. Man, look at that call. Summers, what's up? Woo! Man, talk about a superhero for Christ right there. He's like beast mode. Man, it's still right there. So excited that you joined us tonight, brother. Man, also welcome Irene Dillard. Always love it when you're able to join me live and in the house. So excited that you have. And then also Turi Escalante, welcome to Men Do Talk tonight. And excited to have you in the house as well. And Shamika Powell, welcome, sister. Excited to have you, man. Do some welcomes, y'all, to me, because I'm shouting you out. Welcome, Terry. I'm so excited to have you here. And man, excited for everybody else. You know, that we got several people on. Do a shout out, or if you haven't had a chance to like the page, please do. Because when you like the page and you hop on, I see you hop on and I can do a shout out to you and welcome you guys. Because this is not just about us hanging out. This is a community of superheroes hanging out on Thursday night, you guys. And we're here every Tuesday night at 7:55 Central Standard, 8:55 on the East Coast. And man, I know it's that cutting edge hour for you guys at 5:55 on Tuesday night, where I'm here every Tuesday night doing it, Live It Now, where we are focusing on how not to wait when it comes to the goodness and the life that the Lord has for us. But how do we live it now versus waiting till we get up in paradise? God has it for us today. And then every Thursday night, you guys here with my brothers, with Men Do Talk, where we talk about everything and anything. Every Thursday night, 6:55 Central Standard, 4:55 on the Pacific Coast. Woo, I know that's early, but just listen on your phone until you get home. And then 7:55 on the East Coast. And then for all of you that get up early, I love y'all, where we really go. These are my hardcore people. Woo, these are serious people, where you get up with me at 6:45 a.m. on the Pacific Coast, 8:45 Central Standard, 9:45, where we do nothing but dive into the Word for the Word Up, because it's about the Word and nothing else. And so with that, you guys, welcome. Please make sure you share this so we can get other people to either come on live to hang out with us, or maybe this is going to be a message that the Lord is using you to get it in front of them by you hitting share and sharing it now. And so with that, you guys, we're going to dive into our questions tonight. Well, our focus tonight, I'm really excited about. You know, in the 30 years that I've owned WIC Consulting, now Tracy Casey-Arnold, LLC, one of the things that I have truly felt honored more than anything is the fact that my whole organization, all the people that I've coached, I've spoken all over the U.S., and even when it comes to my seminars and my events, I love the fact that over half of my attendees, half of the people that I coach are men. And I'm going to sit here, and their wives like me if they're married. They in the background, hey, TA. I thought, okay, she knows I'm working on her man, and we're working on something that is all about the queen in the house. And then also all my younger men, man, I cannot tell you how excited I am to be able to working with superheroes in training as they really focus on what it is they want to do and how to get there, not just in life, but in their heart and their mind. to develop as a leader when it comes to finance and business, relationships, and definitely when it comes to spiritual development. I cannot tell you just how privileged I've been that the Lord has always blessed me with an entity and a corporation that served both women and for real men. Woo! So to have this show every Thursday night, I'm excited about it because I want to make sure that every Thursday night we talk about real topics. We go deep, and we are going to go very deep. At the same time, we do have a lot of fun here on the show. Hopefully you saw our launch show where we dove into what men really think about Valentine's. Man, I'm surprised my eyelashes didn't come off because I was dying laughing the whole entire night. But these men were being straight up honest. And for a lot of you ladies that reached out to me privately, man, that did something for y'all. It did. Some of y'all were upset. I can't believe he said that. Man, let me tell you, it's the truth. And some of y'all were like, man, it's about time men are telling the truth. And some of y'all was like, oh, so that's what he really thinks. See, I was wondering why he was doing that. But for everybody who knows TA, every single one of those questions I came up with, and that is for a reason, because we're going to be diving into every single one of those areas this year. So let's go ahead and get started, you guys, with our very first question. They should all be right here, hopefully. If they're not, I'll just add them real quick. So let me go ahead and do that real quick. We're going to start with question number 1. And again, you guys, our focus, and welcome you guys if you hadn't had a chance, welcome to the Tracy Casey-Arnold page, which is the Superhero for Life, Superhero for Christ page. We're going to start off with question number 1. And let me go ahead because that one didn't hang on. We were adding on stuff as we were going. So here we go. Question number 1. Do you have a lot of male friendships? Those you really hang out, it says handout. Maybe you do a handout with your friends, but you really hang out with and talk to on a regular basis. That means that, man, y'all really hang out. Y'all talk on a regular. We're not talking once every couple of months, men. We're talking about where you know what's going on in their life. You know what's happening in their relationships. You know what they're struggling with. You may even know something they just accomplished because y'all are tight like that. And so I'm going to start with my brother because he asked me earlier on to really help him to be engaged in this conversation. So for me, that meant to engage Byron a lot. That is how I'm going to engage you, Byron. He was all by himself. Nobody had hopped on yet. Hey, sis, I'm going to need you to help me. This is what I call a handout, like I said in my post, to help engage you, Byron. Yes. So with that, hey, talk to me about that question. Do you have friends like that where y'all are really tight? You know, you really know what's going on in their lives. You know what's happening to their kids, their marriage, their heart, their joy, their celebration. You know, how us women maybe do it. Do you have that?
Absolutely not.
Oh.
And if you want to go with, if you want to say, what was it? How did you phrase it? Do you have a lot? If lot is more than one, no.
Yes, several. Hello, Joyce. Good evening to you. And Terry's like, just one question? No, Terry, we got more questions. Don't worry about it, Terry. So Byron, okay, you don't. Okay, that's okay. So go ahead and that's okay. Pause right there because you know the other questions I'm going to be asking. So, man, Xavier, let me come to you. Because Xavier, you're Mr. Jim and popular, Mr. Xavier X Factor, Professor X, with all your selfies that you've got. So surely you've got friends that you talk to on a regular basis. You hang out. You know what's going on in their life. You know what's going on in their relationships. Man, they know what's going on with you. You tight like that. Like, you know, y'all talk a lot. So do you have relationships like that?
No. I have, you know, I can't even say I have a strong social media presence because I don't see it like
media
that.
presence. What's that?
Yeah,
that's not friendships.
like people who engage in conversations with you and message you and like your stuff and comment and all that. But when it comes to the close friends I do have a few really close friends, which I do call brothers. And, you know, we do keep in contact with each other through text, you know, sometimes through phone calls, but they're all we're all military, so it's kind of like one is in Colorado, the other one is overseas. So it's kind of like we're separated, you know. So I
Mm.
don't have any close friends that are here right now.
But
But when they
if
come
you're
when they
if,
come to Killeen, yes, we do meet up
but hold up, even
and,
if y'all
and
are
do all that.
separated, there's something called the telephone.
Yeah, we keep in yeah, we keep in contact. We keep in contact through like text messaging and social media and stuff. But you
Oh,
know, getting on the phone all the time.
that's what I'm talking about.
I'll tell
Because
you.
okay, so
I'll
time
tell
out.
you now.
Let's go ahead and do a definition. A real friendship is not
Hmm.
just hanging out with people on social media. It is
Hmm.
truly conversations where even if you're staying engaged with them, whether it's a phone call, because it could be a text, you text with them, okay, but I would like to see that maybe you've had phone calls with them, versus just shooting them a text. And so,
Yeah, not a lot.
okay,
Not a lot. No.
okay, and that's okay because the question is there for a reason. And Jeff, I'm purposely saving you last because I already know your answer. And so, Quint, let me come over to you. Quint, do you have and don't cheat and say what you have now recently in the last 30, 45 days. You can't cheat like that, Quint, because you try to cheat a lot on my questions. And the boys know it, where you try to cover up and go around and repeat my question. And I called you out on the last show. They all agreed with me. Yeah, Q, answer the question. So do you really have?
I don't know what you're talking about.
You got a lot of military people that you've done life with. You went to high school with. You went to NTC with, all these things. And do y'all hang out? Do y'all talk on the phone? Do you know what's going on in their life? Or do we just go off the postcards we get for Christmas?
We get postcards?
You
Really?
know we do. All your military friends do those postcards with the family picture on the back. It's everything they did for the year.
Yeah. No, I have to say now, no. When I was a young officer like X was, I did. I mean, because we were coming up through the Army together. But
Mhm.
once we became majors and the war started, all that changed.
Mhm.
I mean, I've got a couple of high school friends that I stay in contact with, but we don't talk to each other on a regular basis. We don't, that's not a friendship to us. See, and you're trying to define our friendship, and I don't know if I want to let you define my
No,
friendships, but
no.
no, we don't talk like that.
Yeah.
We don't stay that kind of connected.
Wow. See, there's a reason why I left Jeff for last. There's a reason. So, Jeff, let me ask you this question. Do you have friends that you hang out with and go out to dinner with and connect with and talk with?
I guess the qualifier would be what you would consider timely or consistent, or what the span of time is between the time that we do it. I have one friend in particular, mainly because our children are the same age, that I see about every other weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And he's close, like a brother to me. He was married to my best friend at one time. He and I talk a lot about life, because we've had some shared tragedies. And so he and I do. But the guys that I consider, you know, he's part of my family, part of my blood. But the guys that are my circle, my ride or dies, that when I really need something and really something's troubling me, the guys that I rally around me, it's more of when I need them, they're there. We don't seek each other out consistently. We don't seek each other out on a regular basis. We do check in. COVID happened. I can tell you the first 10 guys that are picking up the phone, checking on my family. But having someone consistently that I'm having those conversations with, I have one, and that's been a recent, it's really COVID has really produced that result for us because of our need to get our children together and have them share time. But yeah, I don't have anybody outside of that consistently I could tell you that we're having those conversations, because we're probably going to talk about this later, but I will tell you that from a male perspective, I think we look at our brothers as a resource, not as a place we go and have these conversations consistently.
Oh, you're going into the other questions, Jeff.
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay, so I'll
That's
stop.
too good
See,
to go there. We got to expand.
I love that Jeff's only got one. I don't feel so bad.
I'll tell you what. The consensus, though, is that out of all you awesome men that I love, that when it comes to truly having several or a few that you could talk to, or even if you have that one or two that you just share the real stuff with, but you stay in contact with several, the consensus is for a lot of men. I mean, you could go and look at the statistics all over. The answer is no. And so what I want to dive in tonight is to talk about that as to maybe why that is, and what would that mean to you, how your life would change, how maybe even society would change. And we're going to ask the ultimate question in the end: how would the kingdom change, if men were more interactive with each other and really, as that female word, bonded together, and I think you guys have a male word. I'll remember it here in a little bit, that I really, truly, believe that is something that, we as just people in general, to cultivate those relationships. Because for a lot of us, sometimes, we're more closer to the people that we know than we are even our family. We talk more openly with those conversations because maybe our role in our family is different. We're that role, we're that person to family, but then we're somebody different. Not that we're opposite, we're just something different, to friends. And so let's go ahead and go to the next question that we have here. And again, I'll open them up and resize them because it did not remember. I think because we reset everything, but that is okay. We did this for the last show. So now that we've kind of talked about that, why do we feel that men struggle with this? Now, this could be you sharing your own struggle. Okay, this could be something you've seen, or just could be what you think. And I've given you guys these questions at least 24 hours in advance to give you guys a chance to just do some thought. And so I'm going to come over to you, Quint. Why do you think that men struggle with this?
I think there's several reasons. One may be that men have this belief that real men stand alone. Real men don't need friends, right? I mean, it's like Jeff says, friends are a resource. Friends are, when I need them, right? And if I'm a real man, I don't need that. I think that there's potential there. I think a lot of men don't understand the need nor the value of having friends, having men right there with you, that when you have a challenge, they can speak to that. They can speak to you. They can speak into you. If you're struggling, they can help carry you, because we battle a lot of different things, and you do it a lot better if you had men standing right next to you. But I don't think sometimes we men understand the value of that.
Wow. And and I love what Terry says. I popped it up here. He says that we are very prideful, is what Terry Big Muff Payton says. And Terry, we're going to actually go into that. I think that's my next question. So we're about to approach that. Man, I love this from Oscar, my boy, with his beautiful new baby. Oh my gosh, he's not even a baby anymore. He's like a little man. He says 100% society has us conditioned this way. Man, and that, and I do kind of want to do a caveat and, add to that. Oscar, you and I are thinking the same thing when Quint talked. I want to pose a second question. And so I want to go to, you, Byron, on the same question, and then I'll kind of add the caveat to you two other men. So Byron, why do you feel that men, struggle in this area, or why do you struggle in this?
Yeah, I think it's probably a two-way street. There's, the struggle is real for me, right? I actually have a desire, to have closer relationships with other men. Have even tried, but sustaining that over time, it just doesn't work out. And when I wrote down, I kind of laugh and chuckle because my response was, what did I say? But for two lasting relationships, it said primarily because I look to form long-term relationships that are mutually beneficial. So it made me think that, it's not just relationships with men, but it that crosses even into relationships with women. And I think, despite the obvious, I look for some of the same things. Naturally, men may be looking for men that have things that are in common, with them, right? So that and I kind of go into it a little bit further as to why I think it's more of a challenge. But I think if you just try to sum it up, and it may be kind of my next question. I said that we can be fairly shallow in the sense of our expectations. It kind of aligns with what Jeff has said, right? It's not something that you're looking for to have many layers to it, to be complex, to be well defined out as to it's got to hit these marks. Now, in those closest relationships, I think as you look for a close relationship, you naturally probably kind of do that. You want a lot of the check boxes to be met, but I think maybe we don't necessarily want to do that, because it reflects poorly on us. It starts to seem needy if I'm checking the box, to have this relationship, with men, a one that I can rely on. So I think we're looking to approach it from a very simplistic and again, to Jeff's point, resource approach. However, here I am, have a desire for it to be more, but I know that there's not many men that are like-minded in that regard. I see brothers that I love that if I have an emergency, if I fall, if I'm hurt, if I need them to rescue me, they're going to show up. But to actually ask for them to be there, day to day, or to be in my business, me be in their business, they don't really want that accountability.
So this is, and again, X and Jeff, I'm going to come to you. So of course, in this question, I'm going to ask, you can tie the ultimate question, to this, why do you think it? But I also want to ask this, because I feel this in my heart, how do you think men get here? Do you think it's something that's taught to them? Something that's seen, not just what they feel? And so I kind of want to expand on that a little bit. And so let me, come to you, Jeff, first. What are your thoughts on that? Again, why do men struggle? And do you think it's something that's taught or that they've seen? And so this is what it means to be a man.
Couple things. I would probably go the other direction, that it's not taught for us to be able to connect and be available. And because, while we're having this conversation, I'm just thinking about, I think I shared with you, we went to dinner with some of the guy friends that are like my circle. And when I went to the restroom, the woman approached me and asked me if we were gay. Because all the men at the table of people, as my friends joined us, we all got up and hugged each other and said, we love you, And this woman had never experienced grown men saying that loud enough for someone else to hear. And what I'm reflecting on while we're having this conversation is that there's so much value that comes from that group and from that interaction and the sharing of our family and the successes and the failures and the resources that we have from a professional level, because some of us in that group are broke and some of us in that group are rich and some of us are worldly and some of us in that group are godly, and but we feed each other, but there's something that happens when we leave. We go into this world of ours and get competitive, and we start chasing goals and raising families and doing all these other things that separate us from each other. So I don't think it's purposeful. I just think that our purpose gets bigger than the value that we saw in those interactions. And I think that's what we're taught, because no matter how well balanced men are that I meet and the success level they have, they're all driven by ego and success at some level.
So pause right there, because that's part of my next question. Okay, so pause. I'm gonna let you expand. Okay. Don't forget your thought, babe, because I love where you're going, and I don't want you to lose that. I just want to make it bigger conversation, because that's one of the biggest statistics that I saw in researching this. It's what you just said. So I want to expand more. And so Xavier, let me come to you. Why do you think men struggle with this? And do you feel it's something, like I was asking, Jeff, that's taught, not taught, what they've seen? Share with me, maybe even share your story.
Yeah, I think for me, it's going to be a different perspective on each person that you speak to. Because me, when I was young, my parents, like we belong to Hispanic churches and we all grew up together. So all the kids and like the grown-ups will hang out in the house and all the kids will hang out with each other. And that's who, like, typically the guys I consider my brothers, those are the people. We were 8 years old, 9 years old, playing hide go seek and Comanche over here in Fort Hood and all that. And we grew up together, right? But here's the deal, we grew up. And there comes a time where like for me, it has to do with prioritization, priorities. You have a life. You have, some of my friends now have wife. They have kids. They, are in the military. Some are going to college. Some have, executive jobs or doing different things. So we're all over the place. So it's harder to come together at some points in time. It's crazy because the other month there was an opportunity where all of us got together. We went out to a Mexican restaurant. We ate. We shared. Man, it was incredible. It was a great feeling because I haven't had something like that in a long time. And it's something that I yearn for. But I understand other people's lives when it comes to their priorities and everything that they got going on in life. For example, me, single father of two children. I'm focused on my son and my daughter. At the same time, I have family here. My dad's getting older. My mom's getting older. So I want to spend as much time with them as possible and just be with them as much as possible. And at the same time, I have a goddaughter now. So I'm spending time with the goddaughter. So, it comes to me like, okay, yeah, you're my brothers, but this is my family. I have to go hang out with family, prioritize the family first, and then whatever time I have left over, I could spend it with y'all. But like I said, most of my crew, they're all over the place. We're all military brass and they're just all over. I don't have anybody here locally. And if I do have people here locally where I text them and I was like, hey, you want to go hang out? They're like, bro, I got to work. I got this, I got that. And I'm like, all right, cool. And it just comes at the point of time where I'm just like, you kind of give up, you kind of give up of reaching out and you just come to a position where you're kind of like, you know what? I'm just going to spend it with my kids, spend it with my family and enjoy it that way,
But Xavier, why not make new friends? If you find
Why
that
not make new
if you
friends?
find that these friends maybe have a little bit of an
Mhm.
intense lifespan, doesn't mean they're not your friends, just that
Yeah,
active
yeah, yeah.
interaction, why not make new friends?
It's kind of weird. I put it like that. It's funny. It's funny because what's that movie called? It's a movie called "I Love You, Bro." I think it is, where the
Uh-huh.
guy had to meet another guy to be his best man at his wedding because he didn't have any friends,
Mm.
and his fiance was like, "Yo, go meet some people." And next thing you know, he's like trying to meet a guy, and he's like, "Hey, yeah," and it was like awkward, that he was trying to like relate to this guy, and the guy was like. He was like, "Do you have a job?" And the guy was like, "I don't have a job." He's like, "Then what do you do?" He said, "Well, I hang out at the beach all day and play drums."
Oh, I've
Man, let's
seen
can I,
that movie. I've seen that
yeah,
movie
it's
now that you
cool.
say
It's
that. And
awesome,
he just
but
literally
it's just
he lived with his mom. And it was Will Ferrell, I think, who lived with his mom, right?
no, no, no.
Oh
That's
man,
another
I
one.
love that
That's
movie.
another. That's like old school. I think that's old school. But
What? Old
but
school.
yeah, it's I guess for me,
It's awkward.
it's kind of awkward. Like
Mm.
I like where am I gonna meet somebody? Like if I'm at the gym, hey bro, hitting the weights pretty good. You want me to spot you? Like they're gonna be like, yo, get away from me. So
But okay, so
the
Xavier.
best,
Okay, but
honestly,
Xavier.
the best places to meet people at, honestly, in my opinion, is church. When you're in church and you start participating in the church groups and stuff
Yeah,
like that,
yeah.
men's ministry stuff, that's how you meet people. But like meeting people at the gym and all that, they're kind of just looking at you like, bro, I just need you to spot,
Thank you,
man. I don't need you
Karina.
to.
Thank you,
I
Karina.
need you to spot.
You know what? I'm gonna let you off the hook, but I just
Wedding Crasher.
yeah,
That's a
I
good one.
just so want to come back.
Yeah,
And if I don't get a chance to
that's it.
ask you, Xavier, because you're onto something, and I'm like that little puppy dog we talked about, that when they have a stuffed animal and they puncture a hole, that dog goes after all that stuffing, and I don't want to lose this, but you've got all these people that you meet on social media though, and so I'm going to pause that because I know
Yep.
a lot of my friends, because I'm so busy, that I've met that are now in my life, I've met through social media. Okay, so let's pause that. And so now let's see here. Who did I not ask a question? I think I had asked everybody this question. So let's go to the next question because I think it's going to continue what Jeff kind of started. If I'm on the right one, we'll see when I pop it up here. This is number 4. I think it's number 4. Let me look real quick, you guys. Want to make sure we're not skipping any questions. Oh, it's number 3. There we go. It's a big one, y'all. Okay, I'm even going to cover the whole Men Do Talk logo. This is how big this sucker is. All righty. So in all of my research, everywhere, as to why men struggle to have true friendships that last and a brotherhood where they hang out, they do stuff together. And these are men who are even married with kids. Okay? It says there's a true discussion that always surfaces that men have a hard time staying together because they don't like to follow someone else. And they feel the need to be the one to always challenge everybody else versus accepting everybody's differences. Or because they struggle with things that make them feel like they need someone. One of you guys said that earlier. Or that they are not the center of the focus. Like, is this ego, and they talk about the ego of a man. One of you guys kind of said that earlier. So I want to know your thoughts. And then the other piece that I also saw is that they will put the interaction and the engagement on the other men. They want the relationship, but what they'll do is say, well, he ain't called me. He ain't reached out to me. So because he ain't reached out to me or he ain't called me, I ain't calling him. They're going to put the whole responsibility on the other man, and they don't want to seem like they're desperate or they need that man. So they just choose to do nothing. So Jeff, you shook your head first, so I'm going to go to you first.
Well, so first of all, that last part sounded like today's dating.
Cool.
but we put it on. I think in part we put it on other people to communicate with us because we're uncomfortable with what it looks like to start that conversation. So if they start it, we'll join in. But how do you get that started? On the other part, I think that men are built, women are built to share emotions, and for the most part. Men are built to share victories. Men get together to celebrate the wins. Men don't know how to get together and talk about the defeats and the challenges and all those things. So we're constantly waiting for that win in order to be able to reach out to the people that we trust and care about.
That's deep.
For 2 reasons. One, there's a level of embarrassment if you're struggling. That's ego. And the other part is that we measure ourselves against those men, even though they're.
That was also on the list. I just forgot to add it. Yes, that was there too. Yeah.
And the crazy part is that when you have those, when I talk about getting together for dinner, when we have those moments together, the men that we measure ourselves against that we think have these lives and have so much success, we eliminate their ability to give their gift, which is to contribute to you.
Come on, Jeff. God, I want to do hearts. Hold on, Jeff.
I've got one friend in particular, Stuart Tomagen.
Wow.
He's a consultant, and he gets paid big money to help people do developments and stuff, and he's brilliant. Restaurateur, Swift's Attic, Wu Chow, all those restaurants. And he's always, whenever I run into him and we're talking about something, he's always like, those people pay me. All you have to do is knock on the door. Because I don't know how to be any more available to you than I'm right here. And me consciously knowing that he's right there, here's what it reminds me of. My mom cleans the house before the maid comes. What is that? So men try to get their lives together before they go ask for help.
Golly, God, this is good.
You want to take not your best self, the self that doesn't need the help is who you want to show up to ask for help. And I don't know where that comes from, because there is no, but between me and Stuart in particular, there is nothing between us. My logic brain doesn't have any fear of approaching him and sharing with him what I'm having difficulty with and being embarrassed or being, or that information being used against me. I know better. I know who he is. But still, my ego is like, yeah, when I get my stuff together, I'm going to go hang out with Stuart.
That's good.
maybe I can go hang out with Stuart and figure out how I can get,
There you
get
go.
that understanding that allows me to have that level of
That's
success.
good, Jeff.
That's what kind of hits me.
That's good. That's real good. And for the record, I clean up my house because I feel guilty about a maid having to work that hard with our mess. I feel for her, and I don't want her to have to work that hard.
I show up at my mom's house and she's cleaning the house. I'm like, what are you doing? The maid's coming.
Hey,
Oh
that's
my
what
God.
we pay for.
No. Karina, you so get me. Come on, Karina, you get me. You get me. Man, I love that. And so let me, come over to you, Byron, with the next one as well. Same question, is when it comes to this, do you feel that it has to do with the things that we just talked about? Ego, or they don't want to follow somebody, or they feel like they have to be the center of the focus, and if they don't get that, or they feel like they have to go in, and in that moment, they always have to challenge everybody. And then, as Jess said, they size people up. And in that moment, and if they don't feel like this group, hey, that this is men who have it all, they don't connect, And so what are your thoughts on that, Byron?
I'm contemplating if I'm going to give a real life scenario with this or not. It's pretty personal to me. I'm thinking about it real hard, but for the most part, I think Jeff, as usual, nailed some really good solid points, and I really feel like it needs to, for men to be part of something, it has to serve them, right? Meaning literally serve them. And oftentimes you're looking to serve, what can be, ego or the image, the self-image that you have of yourself. So depending on where you are in any particular group, right, that you've elected to participate in, you may want to be the alpha, right? And if there's an alpha in the group, you go to the next group until you get to be alpha, right? Till you find people that will support, that image you have of you, because that makes you feel good, right? Having people that look up to you, stroke your ego, and so on and so forth, right? I see a problem with that. In fact, I will literally have a struggle with being part of that, to be honest. I'm kind of wired a little different in that sense. Now, yeah, I can be an alpha, don't get me wrong, but it can be but it is we basically will have to agree to get along, right? We're gonna have a purpose, that I'm gonna see that I think serves everyone, and not necessarily just our egos, right? The fact that we might be top dog for whatever darn reason. Maybe it's because maybe because of what brings us together, right? That's our forte. You might be a ministry leader or something like that, and people are going to come to you because of where you are in your relationship with Christ, right? And other people are going to come and join you and listen to you and look up to you. And I would venture to say that's probably feeding that individual's ego as well, whether he wants to or not. There's many. I think most men would struggle to take ego out of the equation, even if that's not consciously their intent. There's something about us that has us wired. Whether it be learned, whether it be innate, whether it be just society will basically groom us to want to be that person that everyone looks up to, right? And there's gratification in having that. And if you don't have it, you're going to go looking for someone or those individuals that will. Most, right? Some people are very, very comfortable with just being a part of that, not necessarily, they may just not be equipped, and they idolize that person so much, or they want to just kind of mimic or be part of that, that individual, what they have to bring, and how best to know how to do that, then by being close to them and kind of just, you'll see it, right? Most men that hang together probably look a lot alike. There might be dresses similar. They may, they have very similar interests. It's not many times that you see men that hang out together for any extended period of time. They're just like all doing their own little thing, right? It's like you got to fit, or you don't, or you just don't get together.
Wow, I like what Oscar says. He says, that's powerful, Byron. It's hard for men to grasp the concept. If you are the smartest person in the room, it's time to find a new room. Woo, come on, because
Amen.
I will
I
tell you,
like that.
I've got to surround myself around women who are doing more than me to keep me going, because that's my
Absolutely.
bar. That's what keeps me motivated and keeps me after it.
Absolutely.
And so I totally agree. And Katrina, I love what you said too. You roam until you find a pride you can lead. Come on. Come on, Sister Katrina. Man, and so
that's what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
That's on point.
Yeah. And so X and Q, on this same thing, and Q, I'll come to you, and then X, I'll come to you last. This is what all this consensus, these statistics say in regards to men, that this is the reason why men struggle. What are your thoughts on that, Q?
Yeah, I agree with some of what Jeff said. There's a lot of pride involved. A man wants to be successful. He wants to share the success. He wants to share the win. We don't share the loss. I don't even know what my feelings are, my emotions are. I don't want to share feelings and emotions. I'm not in touch with those things. But I think part of it. I mean, I'll just use me as an example. As I came through the Army and I went up in rank, I get to rank of full colonel. There ain't too many people in that circle, so there's not too many people that I could just hang out with. So sometimes it's difficult to find a group that you can hang out with, And now, outside of that, and not in that military community, I'm better able to connect to them. The men that you have here, we've all connected at some point in time, right? And now, as I've grown and matured, I can see the value of connecting with men, regardless of where they are in their walk in life. I've led before. I don't necessarily need or have to lead. Sometimes I just like to be there and like to follow. You know what I mean? If someone else will lead, or we don't even need somebody to lead. Like Jeff was saying, we just need to get together.
Yeah, that's
you know what
good.
I mean? I think one of the challenges we have is that we get busy. I said before, men are taught from young age that men stand strong and men stand alone. And so it's and we get into that life and we get busy. Like X was saying, I got kids, I got family, I got job, I got school. Where do those friendships fit in when you're trying to live a life based on some priorities, things that are important to you?
Wow.
Giving time to those important things. If the friendships aren't valuable, or even if they are, where do you fit them in? And then try to stay connected when you can't even find time to fit it in, even if it's just a call. You know what I mean?
Well,
it's tough.
And then I say this because I'm coming to you, Xavier, and I love how the Lord just allowed me to come back to you and continue my conversation with you that I wanted to continue. But then where does a man go then when he's got something going on with him? I know if I got things going on, I've got, not everybody, but I've got some true sisters that have seen me at my worst. All my sisters have seen me at my bottom worst. And these are women who don't necessarily judge you by that. They know who you are and say, oh my God, you too? So then where does a man go to talk about what's going on with him? Then he's just so busy with family and kids and life and making money and success that he doesn't have a connection, that when things are going on with him, he's got an outlet. And I'm going to dump it on you, Xavier. Here it comes. And is that one of the reasons why men struggle more? Is because they don't have relationships. They don't have men to talk to. And they just feel like they got to keep it in, or they're too busy. But then what happens when there's something wrong and they need somebody to talk to but can't go to family? I know you're ready to answer, but I got to get it all out, Xavier. So talk to me.
Yeah. I'm like, you're just dropping a
Come
whole
on,
load. I'm like, damn, it's all over the place. But
yes.
I feel what you're saying. So I'll answer it like this, right? So, you posed the question initially, do we have friends that we get together all the time?
Right.
No, I don't.
Right.
But I do have people that I speak to on a consistent basis when it comes to when I'm going through something.
So they're a resource, as Byron was saying. They're a resource.
Yeah, I'm hitting up my boy Anthony. Anthony's hitting me up. If he's struggling with something, he'll hit me up and let me know what's going on. and I'll give him advice and he'll give me advice, whatever it is. So it's kind of like, yes, we play as resources to, help each other out in
I
those
think it was Jeff who said
situations.
that. Yeah. Wow.
At the same time, when it comes to, gosh, man, I lost my train of thought, but repeat the question one more time so I can because there was just so much, it was so loaded that I was like, Jesus.
Well, and I'll pop the question back up here again. It's question number 3, and this is from all these statistics that I studied. You go look it up. It's on everything you go, that the reason why men struggle to have real relationships is there's a true discussion that always surfaces that men have a hard time staying together because they don't like to follow other men, or they feel the need to be the one to go in because they need to puff their ego up to challenge everybody. They don't accept other people's differences, or because they struggle with things that make them feel like, okay, I need you and need somebody. Or they struggle because they need to be the center of attention. And then what they'll go and do then is to take that relationship and go put it on the responsibility of other people. He ain't reached out to me and called me. He's not following up with me, as a way to say why that relationship is not going anywhere. It was a lot, but they all said the same thing, every single report.
Yeah, if you like Jeff or somebody said it earlier, either I read it or something, where they talk about women are more emotional, right? So they share. Guys aren't like that. Guys are made to, okay, we're producers. So it's like, what are you producing? How much money did you make? What did you accomplish? So that's the type of stuff that we like to talk about, right? And it's sometimes it could be egotistical or prideful, and for me, it's totally different because my mind state is I'm a learner. I love to learn. So it's like I want to be in a room with people that can teach me something. I could grasp a concept, a skill, and then if I notice that my crew is lacking that, I want to be able to teach them certain things, teach them financial literacy, teach them about investment, teach them things like that, right? And I've read things that, if you're the smartest one in the circle, go look for another circle or whatever like that. Yeah, that's true. But at the same time, you should remain in contact with those that, have been your friends for a long period of time, because you never know what people are going through in life. It's a prideful thing too, because, there's certain things that go on in my life where, you don't want to be judged. You get what I'm saying? You don't want to be judged by somebody. And it's kind of like you let something out and they're starting to look at you a different way, right? And there's been conversations that I had with certain friends where, I entrusted people with certain things that I was going on, and I heard it from other people where I'm like, yo, hold up. Like, hold up. Like, this ain't cool.
We're about to go to a whole nother episode now.
This is where sometimes the mindset of a man comes like, okay, well, how can I trust other men when I trusted you and you betrayed me by telling this person, and how can I open up to anybody now? So, when it comes to opening up, I'd rather just open up to like my mom or dad or something like that, where I know they have like a best interest. I'd rather open up to somebody like you and Q that has my best interest. You know what I'm saying? Rather than going to somebody that I personally know where, the conversation could get leaked out to their spouse or something. And
that's just realizing that person
another
can't trust it and taking them off that trust list. That's what that means, but don't not have people you talk to. So again, I think we're even touching another conversation, another topic. Jeff, go ahead. You want to add? I saw you.
Yeah, I just want to say what X was saying. I don't think that men, it's always ego driven from the upper portion of it. I think the two words I wrote down were evidence and witness. Men don't want other men to have evidence about their shortcomings, and they don't want other men to witness their failings.
That's so good.
Oh my gosh! Oh man, you're getting emojis
so
from me.
So we go off and do things on our own. So that X hit it on the head. We don't want people to witness our struggle. So
Too
So,
prideful to let that stuff out.
yes,
yeah,
but what I'm also
But it's kind of true. It's kind of true because when you're dealing with a situation like that and you open up to somebody, right?
right.
And then they want to come back to you for it, but they're kind of like, yo, this dude's struggling like, oh, why would I even go to him?
Yeah.
I'll tell you he
Okay.
struggles like me. So
Go,
Perfect
Jeff.
example.
I see you over here too. You're two
I had
places.
I had two cousins at a family reunion years ago trying to learn how to roller skate. Two twins,
Mm-hmm.
and they literally got in a fist fight because one of them fell down, the other one made fun of him, and he was embarrassed. And like instead of, and neither one of them could skate. It wasn't like he could skate, but they were so intent on witnessing the other one fail that they literally got into a fist fight that we had to like break apart. And they're both big dudes.
Wow.
So, but it's we have this fear of people, and I'll just real quick I'll relate it back to when we were in business together. I was asked why I wasn't on stage coaching with the leadership of the business that we were in. And I was talking to Nick about it. And I told him that I didn't want my team to witness my shortcomings. And he told me, here's the beautiful thing about your team. They already know what they are. Most of the people that are around you know what you're not good at. They know what you're great
You're
at.
not hiding anything.
But most people, without ever telling them, without them ever witnessing what you think is a revelation to them,
That's powerful.
they
right
know
there.
what your shortcomings are.
Yeah.
But yet we live in fear of people finding out something that they already know.
That's good.
So-
Jeff, that's like, I'm not even going to comment on how you got that information, but I love what you got because it just means that they've never judged you by it, told you, and they're still there. Now that is really powerful. That is so powerful. I love that. That's good stuff right there. Oh man. Okay. All right. So let's go to question number 4 here. That was a good one. All right, guys. Woo. Question number 4. Here we go. I don't want to cover you and Q, so I'll make it smaller. I'm trying to make it all big. All right, so here we go. What do you think are reasons? We've actually already kind of been talking about this. All these questions seep over into each other. What do you think are reasons why men struggle with this, and why do you feel is the main reason why men don't stay connected? Y'all have already answered this question because your answers has seeped over into it. So I'm going to go to question number 5. You guys are doing really good. He's like, next. Number 5. Let's see how we did, guys, because these are oh yeah. What does true brotherhood look like for you? Man, I even want to keep this up for a second because I am dying to know from you men. We know sisterhood. Woo! We know girlfriendhood, friendhood. Man, what does a true brotherhood look like for you? Byron, what does it look like for you?
You want to wake me up, huh? So,
you said to help you.
Yeah. That was funny. He's like, Byron, wake up. So, for me, I wrote down these things, but I want to expand on this. True brotherhood is based on establishing mutual respect, mutual trust, mutual commitment, sacrifice in the sense of giving, inconveniencing yourself and in service to one another. And I'm gonna expand on that. So, me finding the brotherhood that actually, I'm gonna give my example,
Okay.
and this is one that's close to my heart. So I had a brotherhood. I had a group of men that on the surface, one gentleman I had a close relationship with, and I ended up basically joining his brotherhood. Right, he brought me into the fold. And what I found out in very short order was these men were mostly about what Jeff said, and I wish I could remember exactly how Jeff said it, and other examples, but it was literally they were about they wanted to get together and boast about their accomplishments, their what they had, who they had conquered, what they had conquered, I've done this,
He
I've
said
done that.
who they had conquered.
Bored, bored me to death. I'm like, you bunch of freaking egotistical, so on and so forth. I was bored to death. I am wired differently than probably most men are. And there's a reason why I think that's the case. And I don't know for my brothers, right? I don't know this. That might be a sign right there. The fact that I don't know this, that's not good. I was raised by my mother, right? And so my father wasn't around that much, my real father. And so when it came to communication, when it came to having my needs satisfied, it was my mother and the way that she would communicate and satisfy me and build me up, right? Feed my spirit. That is the thing that I look for in all relationships, right? So as a result, unfortunately, men that maybe are mimicking their fathers, right? Which I didn't have around my biological father, right? To give me that example. Today, my biological father struggles to have an open relationship with me where we can have a deep conversation, right? If I have a need, I'll give a personal example. Going through my divorce, I go to my father, my biological father, right? And looking to have a deep conversation. He's not comfortable with having a deep conversation with me, and one that's about an emotional connection. He didn't know how to act. He didn't have that relationship with his father. He felt like a fish out of water. And all he could tell me was the hate on the woman that I was, you know, married to, basically, going so on and so on and so forth. That's not the thing that you needed at that time, right? You're looking to try to maintain your marriage and your relationship. You need someone that's comfortable to support that being the case. So for me, it's hard because I think we all know men are very uncomfortable with having that emotional connection, and that is a must-have for me, to be honest. I want to have that emotional connection. I literally want to trust that I can be weak in a moment with my brothers, right? In any situation. I absolutely love and can relate to what Jeff talked about. When Q and I had time and we were getting together with another one of our Christian brothers, I'm sure everybody around us probably thought, to what Jeff said, everybody probably thought we were just a little bit too much in love, right?
Yeah, we're dating.
I would go up, I would hug, I would kiss Jeff on the not Jeff. I would kiss my brother on the cheek. I had that much love for him, right? And felt comfortable with that, right? I'm very comfortable with my masculinity, so I could have that emotional connection, and I just think that's important.
Wow. I love that
I kind of
answer.
lost. I kind of got lost on the question because there's I know other questions that we might not get to, but
All right, that's
I was kind
okay.
of playing into that a little bit.
That's okay.
Jeff,
Oh, go ahead.
Jeff Byron had a Freudian slip there, just so you know.
Yeah, brother, I'm sure if I hung out with you, brother, it might be a day that I might kiss you on the cheek, brother. You just have to deal with it.
I love that.
You'll kiss him on the lips, man. You'll kiss him on the lips.
Oh Lord, have mercy. I will say, I will take this moment real quick to say, as men, right, and Christian brothers, right. When I had my Saved Again experience, I got invited out to a church here in San Antonio with one of the pastors that Tracy had in the fold that we were kind of partnered up with and really tight. He invited me to his church. Went out and they had a day. It was a men's fellowship. It was nothing but men. Locked us in, right? Made us all come together, come forward, get on our knees, and profess our love to Christ, right? And before it was done, here it is. I had never really kissed a man on the cheek, and I've always been comfortable with saying I love you, but telling a strange man that I love you, and going on and on and on and on. That connection I had that day just really crushed all those inhibitions, those hesitations I have in connecting with a spiritual brother, because I know we have that in common. I have that trust and that understanding with him that I can just go there. right? Because I know that they're going to have their heart's going to be genuine enough to forgive me if they're uncomfortable, because I'm going to make you uncomfortable, right? If I'm loving on you, for sure, for
Wow.
sure.
I love
That
that.
that,
I
that was just
love
a
that.
beautiful experience.
Wow. And that's
Yeah,
really good to hear. And I know that that was a good experience for every man in that room, because that was one powerful
it was
passage.
awesome. Yeah.
And so, Quint, let me come to you. The same question for you. What are your thoughts?
What does true brotherhood look like?
Yeah.
Um, I go back to my days as a young officer in the Army when I came up with a group of lieutenants. We went to war together. As cadets at West Point, we suffered through a number of things at West Point, went through a number of challenges, right? I mean, I don't hang out with those guys. I rarely even call them, but they're some of the closest friends that I've ever had after 4 years of living together through college. I ever show up at a reunion and they're there, our connection is like that in an instant. And it's like catching that. It doesn't matter
How much
that
time?
we haven't talked to each other. Yeah, it's hey, what's going on with your wife and you and your wife? How you let's catch up and let's reconnect, because that connection is important to us. You know what I mean? It was coming up through the Army with a group of young officers that we served together. We went through combat together. We went through numbers of trials and tribulations together as we learned our profession together, and we'd go out and hang out and tell stories about each other. I mean, I hadn't talked to some of them in years. We invited them to our wedding, and they show up from all over the country.
Wow.
And they start telling you stories about me, right?
Yeah, they tell all your
because we
business. They do.
because we know each other
Yeah.
that well.
Yeah.
To me, that's what I knew of brotherhood. I
Mm.
think what I'm learning anew is it's a man or a group of men that I can walk with.
Mhm.
I can walk through life with, through whatever challenge I'm having, and and not be afraid to share it with them, and them not be afraid to share what they're going through.
Mhm.
Um, Offer advice to one another, wise counsel to one another.
Mhm.
No shame,
Mhm.
no ridicule.
Mhm.
We might rib each other, but it's in good fun and it's out of love. There's no shame and there's no ridicule in any of it. It's we're just flawed men trying to walk through life and be the best that we can. And to me, if I can find 1, 2, 3 men that are willing to walk that kind of a walk,
Mhm.
that's brotherhood.
Yeah.
That to
Good.
me is brotherhood.
That's good. That's good. Jeff, what does brotherhood mean to you? What does it look like?
Yeah, Byron and Quint hit it on the head. And, two of the things that I wrote down were filling the gaps
Mhm.
and intolerance.
Mm.
So
Mm.
your brothers fill the gaps for all your shortcomings, the things that are missing for you.
Mhm.
They also have the ability, at least in my circle, they all have a vision for where you should be and where you should be going.
Mhm.
And in a conversation, you can hear it
Mm.
without them specifically pointing out you should be, but they're having a conversation about, what their expectation was for you and how
Yeah.
they can contribute
Yeah.
and, and what they need from you. And, the fact that, we're available to one another. And then the other thing I wrote down was intolerant. My circle of guys are intolerant of the stupid stuff. When you're heading in a direction and you're doing something that's, counter to how they see you, there isn't this standing back to see what's going to happen. There's this engagement about, that's not who you are, that's not
Right.
what you do, and that's not acceptable.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
so those are the people that you can trust. I don't need someone to go along for the ride if it's the wrong ride.
That's
I need
good.
someone who knows how to pump the brakes, And when you have your brothers that way, you have that. And the other part, the thing that I would tell you too, that um, when you're in their presence, sometimes there's nothing that needs to be said.
That's good.
You,
That's good.
that space is just your space, and people, I give you an example. There's a group of guys that I was in business with for a period of time, and we went to Fort Collins for a bachelor party for one of my business partners. And everywhere we went, people were approaching the table and wanting to know what we did, because there was this joy at this table about us being together and being away from work and having each other's presence.
Mm-hmm.
And we're in a restaurant with a couple hundred people, and people are walking up going, well, who are you guys? And, we're like, we're just people from here. And they're like, no, you're not. You guys were walking down the sidewalk with your chest out, chin up, and shoulder to shoulder, and we just don't see that. So it's this thing that you create for one another as well, that that allows you to operate in a space without feeling like there's any danger.
That's good.
That's
nothing
good. Can penetrate that circle. So that's what I think about brotherhood. And I will tell you that a lot of that feeling and a lot of that safety and all that is what I feel when we're having conversations on Thursday night. Because I'm very vocal. I'm not shy. But still, this conversation doesn't happen in most of the groups that I spend my time with. We just don't. We're not having this conversation. And when this first started, I'm like, Tracy invited me, and I thought, man, it'd be great to participate in. And I'll be honest with you, I thought it was like an invitation to come be a guest, and then I was going to go away. And then I was like, oh, every week. And we started having these conversations, and and the growth that I've experienced personally and spiritually, and and the opportunity to sit down with an idea of what's coming, and actually hear my brothers talk, and for what's coming to never show up because that space created something completely different.
Yeah.
So that's what brotherhood's about. You only get that from people who care about you and are contributing to you, and you're open to hear what they have to say. So
that's good.
I appreciate Thursday nights more than you can even imagine. So that's what brotherhood means to me.
That is really, really good. And that's what this is supposed to be. Even this tough stuff, Xavier. Even the tough, even the tough stuff we're going to talk about this year, because y'all know me. Tracy's going to go in the deep end, scuba diving. Because this is about blessing other people, and this is an example. You talked about it early, Jeff. It could be that they've not been taught and they've not seen it.
Yeah.
So to me, this is an example.
Here's the funny thing about all this. All of this came from that dude. Came from X.
Yep.
In the middle of the night, sending me a message from Afghanistan about $200 worth of protein.
That's so true.
And the commitment and the connection that was created in that moment created all of this.
You sure did.
I wouldn't have known any of you had he and I not had made that connection, and it wasn't just this trivial connection. It was like this whole expansion about his life and his family and what he wanted to accomplish and why he was doing it. And I think it was less than a week later, I was standing in his house with his, his then wife and his daughter, and was she pregnant? I think, or did she just had a little bit?
I think she just had Javon.
Yeah.
So having that conversation, having that connection, and he and I never met, but the contribution and the connection that we had is the same one that we have, in this moment, having this conversation, because he is one of the rare souls that puts himself out there regardless of the circumstances, with no fear of what that looks like. And I appreciate that a lot. And I love that brother for that.
I love that. And so Xavier, I'm good.
Gigi's coming out.
So Xavier, we've got just 3 questions left before we close. And so this is a really good question, because all of this really did kind of come together. I mean, you and I wouldn't have met, because if we don't give her credit, she's going to call us both out as from Brianna, connecting you and I at a time when it was my time. I'm watching a movie. My daughter's over here, psst, psst, and then blowing up my text phone, and then here we are. And I got to call you out always. I'm a big sister. And then didn't even show up for the meeting. You sent somebody else. I got to always say that. But because of what God had for you and I, it didn't matter that somebody else showed up. God's intentions will always happen. That it was truly about you and I meeting, which is now like literally 8 years ago. and it just being beyond. It just immediately, like just immediate God's purpose, ignited. And so I know what brother sisterhood means for me and you, which is just crazy.
Mhm.
But what does brotherhood mean to you?
Yeah, so I'm sorry, TA. I couldn't make it to that meeting. I had a so
Because you never
I keep saying
apologize
this
to
I'm
me,
like,
bro.
man, it sucks because at that time I was an executive officer in the Army and I had a new commander coming in and they wanted me to do I was in charge of the layout and everything. So I was like, MJ, I ain't gonna be able to make it, bro. You're gonna have to go because I gotta do these
Xavier,
layouts.
I am so
It
messing with
sucks.
you. You are so precious. I think you know
But
already.
yeah.
I'm just gonna always mess with you on that.
I know.
I
It
love
sucks.
that.
But a brotherhood, man. A
Yeah.
brotherhood is certain people that are family.
Mm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
I man, like the boys that I have, I consider them family. Like the ones I grew up with, and they were my ride or dies. And during the college, and I'll put my stuff out there during the college times when we would go to clubs and I don't even know how we would make it home and we would be there fighting people and they would be right by my side fighting people with me and I was like, yeah.
Oh my
And those were
God,
like my
this is
brothers,
crazy.
right? They're like, man, I knew they had my back. I knew they could be trusted. I knew if I told somebody something, they were loyal to me. We
It's
were loyal to
crazy.
each other. That's what brotherhood is all about. When I joined the Army, just like Quinn said, like there's a different type of brotherhood
Yeah.
when you deploy with somebody and go to war with somebody. Like once they took me off the executive officer position and they're just like, you're going to be a multifunctional team leader, you're going to go out on patrols with the infantry and scout guys, you're going to lead a 12-man team, you're going to do human intelligence, signals intelligence, and you're going to go out there and collect everything that we need for our area. And I'm kind of like, I don't know how to do that. You'll learn it. They'll teach you. And I'm like, man, we're in a war. Like, we're in a war. Like, you got me going out there on patrols. Like, really?
Yeah.
And when I got to my team, it was like once I met them and connected with them, like we just became like, bro, we slept together, we worked together, we went on missions together, we got shot out together, we did stuff together. Like, and it became like a family where, you know, even my ex-wife was kind of like, man, are you and Brooks messing around? Like, what's going on with y'all? Because we were just so close. It was just
Yeah.
like we loved these. Like literally, I love
Yeah.
those people where it's like,
Yeah.
yo, I would literally die for you, man. Like it was that type of love, that type of brotherhood, that type of connection. And still to this day, I still talk to these guys because there's just that connection there. And it's crazy because a brotherhood, even if you don't talk to these people for a long time, once you get in a room with them, it's kind of like you never stop talking to them. It's like
Yeah.
it's a feeling, like Jeff was
What's
saying,
that?
it's a
Yeah.
like a refreshing feeling that it's kind of like that aura where you just got instant connection, pick up where we left off, talk about the things that are going on. Quinn mentioned it too. It's just that type of emotions that happen. So a brotherhood is just, I consider it family, even though they're not blood family, they're still family. They're loyal, trustworthy, integrity. Yo, they like if you're going through something and you know you're doing wrong, they're not afraid to tell you like, yo,
Yeah,
bro, you
really
messing
straight
up. Like,
up.
what are you doing? Like, yo, what are you doing? Like, I fell through that. You don't need to be doing this because this is gonna be the effect of that.
Right.
Don't do it. And
Right.
they listen to you because you're able to speak that into them. So a brotherhood is special. It's like I can't like Jeff was saying, like Thursdays I get excited to come on here with you guys because I know that these are my brothers. What I'm wishing is that, we start linking up together. I know coronavirus and all that is going on, but we can start going together because I'm telling you, Byron, like you ain't gonna kiss Jeff on the cheek. You'll kiss him on the lips because he just gives you so much. Like the way Jeff speaks to you, Jeff is somebody that once you get around Jeff, his aura is just like you're like a little kid, just like learning and feed me, give me more. It's kind of like when the women get around Tracy, it's that she has that aura where you're like, oh my God, give me more. Quint the same way, man. It's like those type of people are special people. Those are what I consider brotherhood, sisterhood, and yeah, I'm talking too much. Let me be quiet. Where's the timer? Where's the timer at?
That's okay. That's all right. Well, as y'all were talking, I was realizing y'all covered a part of the next question. So I'm really going to move that one and just go to two questions because I want to get to, again, we're here every week. You guys know I'm here on Tuesday nights, Friday mornings, and Thursday. I don't care what we're talking about. Let's just make sure people understand it. This is a TA for Christ production show, okay? This is about the Lord's work, period. I don't care what we're talking about, how much fun we're having, and what we're saying. We're here to do the Lord's work. And, of course, I'm leading this down a road, to come to that ultimate question. And I think the question we're going to go to next is going to prepare, how we're going to close the show out. And so before I do, I really want to kind of stress to you guys real quick, and you've been hearing me, and I'm going to just always say you're going to get tired of hearing me, so please make sure you do it. I really need for you to go download my app because there's so many things that are going to be changing over the course of the next 2 months. Even how we do our shows, where we'll be live here, but we'll be actually streaming live, but the whole gathering will be over on the app. So where you guys will be able to see us, that if you choose to turn your camera on, we can see you. Now talk about a whole nother world where now we're sitting there laughing and pointing, and maybe that even allows me to see you, and y'all are chatting, and instead of just reading your messages, I'll say, hey, Oscar, say again what you were saying, and now you get to be a part of that gathering. We've got to take this to a whole nother level. I love social media, but I love relationships more. I love the connections more. It is the thing that God starved me from at the age of 5 when I lost my hair. He didn't let me really have relationships because he needed me to be so starved that even with me being in my age, I still have that starvation. I want connections and relationships. I want laughter. I want us to talk about anything, to share anything. Even to have moments where we're talking about something real and raw. Somebody feels so comfortable that if we say we're going to them and inviting you to share, you share something maybe you've never shared with anybody, and you just see all this love or this support pouring into you. This is what this is about, you guys. And so again, and then all the giveaways, the superhero for life subscription that we're about to roll out, all the gear. Xavier will tell you that the apparel is off the chain. Woo! I mean, Xavier's like, can I get these like now? It just looks so good that there's so much that we're going to be doing this year that I need you to download the app. And so what I'm going to do real quick, you guys, is I'm going to play the app, and then we're going to come back with the last 2 questions, you guys, and close it out. I always play number 1, so I'm going to play number 2 this time. Here we go. We'll be right back, you guys. All right, you guys, welcome back. Welcome back. Again, go to your app store, your Play Store. Just type in Tracy, Casey-Arnold. Download the app, but don't just download it, you guys. You need to register into the app. You download it. All you have to do is go to the left side where the menu is at, click on the 3 lines, and you'll see where it says sign in. Sign in, create a profile, absolutely free. And then what we're going to start to do, you guys, is to invite you over to what's called the Superhero Lounge. Okay, well, you'll be added there, and that just means that when we do go live, we're going to put that live stream there, so that you could click on the link to come and join us in a whole nother area when we go live. And again, trying to say this over and over and over, please make sure you go download the app. And not only that, all of our shows, from Men Do Talk to Live It Now on Monday to Word Up, and even all of the other shows, the messages in the movies, you guys are all right there at your fingertip. And once a new show is added, you get a notification to your phone. Once we're live, you get it to your phone. You can just click on that and join. It's just going to make things so much more easier for us to stay connected. Because for us, for me, it's more than social media. it's a real relationship for me. And if I could get closer to you, even in the coronavirus, however we can, and even if coronavirus is over, that's what I want. God has put that in my heart, and I cannot quench that fire unless we create something that feeds it. Okay, so please make sure you download the app. And so with that, you guys, let's go to the last two questions. And man, so many of you guys have logged on. I mean, man, Captain Kirk is in the house. Captain Kirk, what's up? I missed you. So excited you're here. Sister Sharon, is here. I know, Tim, I'm going to add you up here. Deep show tonight. I know we went from something fun to deep. 100%, Tim. So glad you were able to join us. Francine Buckley, welcome. Man, Lovey. Woo! Letitia Fight Wheaton, girl, welcome. So glad you've joined. Tammy Ray Smith, welcome. So glad that you're here. Carmelita Wendy Grant, so glad that you're here. Sister Kelly, woo, all over California, so excited that you're here. Miss Urban. Tina Moore Chapman, so glad that you're here. Man, Janet Pierce, so glad that you're here. Man, do some shout outs to me. Lovey, so glad you're here. Juanita Pena Guerrera, welcome. So glad you're here. Pablo Martinez, so Xavier, don't make fun of me. Pablo Martinez, so glad that you're here. Sarita Masson, so glad that you're here. Wiz Cabarro, so glad that you're here. Petey Brown, woo, so glad that you're here. And again, there's so many people here. Rita Carford, man, so glad that you're here. Again, we only see the number of those that have liked the page, and there's many of you guys that have joined. And man, my boy, Mr. G. Gafford is in the house. So glad that you're here, Colonel. Woo, welcome. And Sister Katrina, I said already, hello to you. You guys, please make sure you share this because it is a deep topic, like Tim was saying. We are going deep tonight. But imagine how many people could be blessed by all you have to do is hit share. And then the Lord will decide who that is for. Because if he has intentions for it, the person he wants to watch it, it will end up on their lap. Maybe not over the next couple of days. You'd be amazed how many people reach out to me 6 months later because something has ended up in their lap. And they're watching it and they tell me, oh my God, what this message did. So please make sure you share it. And so with that, you guys, as we close the show, we're going to go to the last two questions. Okay, so I'm going to pop up both. Okay, so I'm going to pop up question number 7. Okay, and I'm just going to kind of do it a little unique here. Okay, so we're going to lift that up. I know the number may cover question number 7. And then I'm going to go ahead and open up question, let's see here. Actually, I want to get rid of question number 7. I'm going to 8 and 9. There you go. I combined the last two together, which is why you see that I'm only going to 9, guys. All right, here we go. This is so what I want to talk about. And I'll pop up each one and then we'll talk about it. So question number 8 is, how do you think it would impact, or what do you even think it would impact in regards to what we see in today's society and with the issues we are seeing and that's happening in our world to now, if men could cultivate more relationships, if they could create more coming together, talking, being there for each other, and maybe that's it, but then imagine if men were gathering in brotherhoods. What do you think would happen to today's society and what we are seeing everywhere and even on the news? And then the next question, which I am going to really let this one breathe a little bit, because this one's really what it all ends up for me, is question number 9, is what do you think men coming together and truly having a brotherhood, what that would mean for kingdom? Okay, this is real talk here. Okay, this is what it all comes down to, is we had a discussion, about men and how there's this void here, where men don't connect. They get too busy in life doing things, chasing, a business or building businesses, or busy with the kids or with their parents. And we really talked about, what that looks like, a brotherhood. So let's go back to what y'all just shared. If y'all had that on fire in your life and other men had that kind of brotherhood in their life, what do you think would change in today? What we see on the news, what we see on Facebook, what we see popping up notifications like y'all heard here on my computer. And then what do you think that would do to kingdom if men came together and had a true brotherhood, and brotherhoods were just like everywhere. And so I want to come to you first, Q, as a pastor, to talk about that, because to me, what's happening in society, to me, is about kingdom. I see those two kind of being the same, but you may want to talk about what would happen with men and what that would mean to men, and then, oh my gosh, what that would do to kingdom. So let me come to you first as we come to this big question of the night. So go ahead.
Yeah, I was reading just this morning, and I think it's in Ecclesiastes. Solomon is sharing his wisdom. I think it's Ecclesiastes, and one thing he's saying is it's important for two to be together, because when one falls, the other can pick them up. When one needs help, the other's there to help. If someone comes against that one can easily be overcome, but two are stronger. They can defend themselves. They can stay warm together. And then a cord of three is not easily broken. Mm-hmm. And what he's saying is, if two people, in this case, let's talk two men. If two men will stand together in that type of a brotherhood, then there are so many things that they can do, that they can accomplish, that they can fend off, because the enemy would love nothing more than to keep men isolated. Because if I can keep this man isolated, I can eventually break him down. I can get lies into him. I can change his beliefs about who and what he is, and whether he's supposed to have dominion or not, right? I can truly break this man down. Nothing else, I can use society to break him down. But when two men are together, they can speak into each other. They can, as Jeff was saying, they can hold each other accountable. They can set out an expectation for one another, right? And they grow strong together. And again, when there's three, it's even more so. It's even stronger and more difficult to break, because now a personal conflict or personality conflict can't separate just two, because now there's three there, right? and so I think if men are willing to put themselves down and get past their own insecurities, put their own pride down, and be willing to step into, I call it an accountability relationship. You can call it whatever you want, a brotherhood. If they're willing to step into that and truly be accountable in that way, to be held accountable and to hold accountable, then I think that brotherhood can begin to form. And when you do that, then I think true biblical manhood can begin to form. Not toxic masculinity, but true biblical masculinity. That right there, it changes other men. It changes families, because as the man goes, the family goes. If it changes families, it changes the community, it changes the culture, it changes the nation, it changes the world. I truly believe that. And so that's how God intended it. So that's how it affects kingdom.
I love that. I love that. Xavier, what are your thoughts? How would this affect today's society, what we see going on in the kingdom?
I will tell you that I am very concerned with today's society. Very, very concerned. Not speaking on like us, because we're more grown. We grew up a different way, right? But with the young kids these days, they're more social media, they're more online gaming. So when it comes to establishing relationships, they don't know how to do it, because they've been so accustomed to staying at home, playing video games, not going out, or not, playing baseball or not playing basketball or not playing soccer or not doing sports or not participating in different things at school or not meeting people at school. They're just focused on games, or they're focused on social media or even TikTok and doing little dances and stuff, that they're not focused on reality and what's about to come in the future when they turn 18 and they graduate college and life is going to smack them in the face.
Right.
Now reality checks kicks in, right? So with the brotherhood, it's very important to have a brotherhood, especially for people like us, mentoring younger people. And that's why I like, what we're about to do with with everything that's about to happen, because there's a lot of kids that are like that need grown-ups to be able to pour into them. When I turned 22, I had John Stacy, James Schaefer, who poured into me, Ben and Edwin. And I never had something like that in my life. I never had somebody that just poured into us. And it was kind of just an amazing thing. So brotherhood is very important to society today, and just establishing relationships and being able to evolve together and be able to uplift each other. When we're going through something wrong, they're able to lift us up. When they see us, not being, accountable to what we put ourselves forth and said, hey, this is what we're going to do. They hold us accountable to that. It's crazy because I'm part of a group or whatever like that. And these guys, like, there's like 5 main guys that they all do different types of businesses, right? But they come together at least once a week and they do what's called the meeting of the minds. And it's kind of like they just talk to each other and they're able to just talk business and talk family and talk everything like that. And, to me, that's exactly what brotherhood is. It's getting together and just helping each other out and uplifting each other. But it's also good for the kingdom because, like Quint said, when you got, when you're by yourself, it's a dangerous place, especially if you're a man. It's a real dangerous place because you just have so much thoughts going into your head. But when there's another man next to you, hey, sky's the limit. And if you're building the organ or the group in a biblical mindset, or having that godly type of organizational brotherhood there, that could definitely impact a lot more people than just having a brotherhood that's not focused on God, that's just focused on getting girls or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like it has to have a certain intention with it when you're doing that type of brotherhood, but it could impact the world. Like you get like what you said, the power of one can impact the power of many can impact many.
Yeah, that's my ultimate quote. The power of one can save lives, but then the power of many can save the whole entire world. That's right.
That's what it's all about right there.
Amen.
That's what it's about. So that's what a brotherhood, that's why it's very important to establish brotherhoods in a godly way as well.
I love that. And it touches on what you just said about now you have another example being birthed, that if it just continues, we do this with growing businesses. And you go get 2 and you go get 2 and you go get 2, you go get 3, you go get 4, that before you know it, this ends up becoming the more powerful vision than what's happening in the world. People see this more than they do. And now you've got this separation, and now you really see a choice. Not just this is life. You see a choice truly in your face. And so I love that. And so let me go to you. God, I felt that, Lord. Okay, that's tough. Okay. Let me go to you, Jeff. I felt you, Byron. My God, all the way over here. Let me go to you, Jeff. that hit my back for a second. That was like, I felt something. He told me Byron's last. So go ahead, Jeff. Woo! Come on, God.
I was hearing Q and X talk. All I could think of was the state of being whole and undivided.
Woo! Come on.
So integrity, and that's what's missing. We see with social media, we see these well, I don't want to call them conversations because that's not really what's going on. We see all this rhetoric going out there, and people have these views and they're spitting things out, and they're saying untruths and they're being mean to each other, and they're propagating falsehoods and telling lies, and many of them don't know their lies because they have no one in their world that's telling them that what they're saying is not true. All they have are the people that are reminding them that what they're saying is true. And so For me, I think what we'd see in society is that we'd see the return of integrity, where people would be responsible for what they said. And when it's strange for me, I grew up in a household where when someone said something that was wrong or did something that was wrong and they recognized it, they acknowledged it and they corrected it.
Come on.
I can't tell you the last time I've seen a public official or a public figure or a social media figure do something that was wrong, figure out that it's wrong, and then own it.
Come on.
So I think for one, that's what will return, because the only way that we clean up this world and create a space where God can exist in the open is for us to first acknowledge that that space doesn't exist.
Come on.
And people think that it does. I hear people talking about being Christians all the time. And then I watch them on their feed and I'm like, well, where's
Christ?
the Christian person at? Where's that person?
Come on.
I'm missing that person.
Come on.
And I catch myself remembering that I don't know their walk and I don't know their relationship, so I have to be cautious.
That's good.
Because there might be a purpose to what they're doing, but there's no space that I see that exists that makes me feel, empowered about what's next from that, other than coming together with you and being in my church. And my mom's a prayingest woman. She's prayed up, so, but I think the change that we would see is that you'd be able to have open conversations, and I will tell you the worldly response to the lack of integrity is cancel culture.
Okay.
People will never learn anything because the minute you make a mistake, you get clobbered.
Come on. Come on.
Well, hey, what you're saying isn't true. Let's have a conversation. They go, oh, they said this and they meant this, and that person is no longer on Disney or Fox or CBS or wherever, and that person goes away. And what are we teaching our children?
That's right.
That they have to be perfect, and that doesn't exist.
Yep.
What I think it means for the kingdom is that we'll return to a time where the people that lead the community are the heroes. MLK was a hero.
I like that accent.
He was a community leader. Though, when my dad and them were growing up, those were the dudes,
Come on.
And I appreciate music. I appreciate athletes. I appreciate rock stars. But when a man can walk into a room and change your life with what he understands about the word and the world, that type of stuff is what happens when men, because here's the thing, men are responsible for leading communities.
Come on.
Come
on.
They're responsible. And if we're not having conversations, we're not equipped to lead communities. We can't have a conversation with young men about being men when we're hiding from our own manhood in the conversations that need to be had in the open. So that's, the old adage, it takes a village. In those villages, they're having conversations. So that's what I think would be the change. And I don't want to say would be the change. I go, that's the change, because people are doing the work. I always want to remind people that we live in a world where social media makes us believe that nothing but hell's breaking loose.
Come on.
But there are people doing the work.
Come on.
There are communities, people are doing the work. There are churches that are doing the work. Every time that we see this chaos, there are people who are putting on a backpack and getting on a bus and going down to South America to help these families that are running from all these different things, and going to Africa and teaching these kids how to educate each other and and create things that allow them to be self-sufficient. So there's people doing the work. So we must never forget the fact that we're not in a world where God's work is not being done on a daily basis.
Come on.
Heavily.
Come on.
But if we could get it on social media and all of a sudden it becomes okay for a young man to talk about, his belief in Christ and, his upbringing and how things manifest for him, and talk about your emotions without feeling like you're going to be victimized by the people who found out that you have emotions.
Come on.
So that's the change I think that we're looking for. And it's going to show up.
It
always does.
Come
God's
on.
work always shows up.
Come on. And I am going to sit here and tell you that is so why we are doing what we're about to launch, so that literally I got the name of it. I got the name last night. I sent it to my daughter and told her where I got it from. It was a freaking PlayStation game. when it came to the most strongest armor that you could wear, that it doesn't matter what anybody says to you, what bullets, what challenges you, you are solid. It's X01, and that's what that generation is that we're going after, is to teach them how to really identify what is and what isn't and what shouldn't be, how to build them up and make them true superheroes, man of steel and who they are. And then to be able to stand there, and even if the enemy throws arrows through other people or people challenge them, they are X01. They just stand there and say, I'm not moving. I'm not moving, because that's the thing we've got to be able to build. It's people having the strength to, number one, know they're different. You're going to be different. So let's just get over that. You're made to be different. That's your purpose, to be different. If you ain't different, you're not fulfilling your purpose. Okay? And then your purpose is meant to do something. And so, oh my gosh. Okay, Byron. Okay, I'm coming to you to close this out. I knew this was going to be a deep show. The moment we got it 2 weeks ago, and God created a storm and said, let me do some things before y'all bring this. Now you can bring it. I had to do some stuff. I had to do my thing, because he did, and I think he was doing something far bigger than what we could see. I do. I think he was working hard. Oh, Byron, so I'm coming to you. What would this mean for what we see in society, what we see happening in the world, and then how does that then affect kingdom?
Yeah, I want to say that my brothers, as always, they nail it. And as I have words and things that I wrote down, but they inspire me to sometimes go in different directions. Or I'm literally sitting here and writing down a phrase, and as I'm writing it down, before I get to finish it out, Jeff says God's work, right? And I'm just thinking that's just confirmation to me, right? So we got to take what why are we having this conversation today, right? Because it is absolutely about what the guys have said, what Q has said, what X has said, what Jeff has said. We got to take responsibility, right? We got to understand the role that we play as men, and we got to understand those things that shackle us, right? Our ego, right? In this, that's sinful, right? It is downright sinful.
Mm-hmm.
God would want us to take, our opportunity to form brotherhoods, right? And have fellowship as an opportunity to have fellowship, as an opportunity to teach, right? As an opportunity to get with other people that may not necessarily have not had the blessing of having a relationship with Christ yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can't think about our responsibility as far as Christian men, right? We should not be thinking that it needs to serve me, right? And that's kind of what I think I was leaning on earlier, right? I think we got it twisted, right? We're number one, because we're often, and I heard all my brothers who I love, and I got a ton of excuses myself. We offering up a bunch of excuses, but when it comes to what Christ would have us do, right? We don't get to start any of that with an excuse.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we have to eliminate the excuses. We have to understand that out of all the things we do, right, it is important. And you think, and it's hard to see how getting with men can be more important than spending time with your family. And I'll tell you why. Because I think we as men, we're responsible for arming up, right? We have to be prepared. We have to be like-minded, right? Because it's going to take not just us as individuals, but as collective Christian men, right, to fight the things that are coming, that are upon us now. You can't do it individually. Mm-hmm. The devil would absolutely have us coming up with excuses and being separate and weak, because to Q's point, we are strongest when we are together. When you got your brother on your left, you got your brother on your right, you got your brother in your front, you got your brother in your sixth, right? That is when I am at my best and my strongest. I went when it talked about kingdom, right? I looked it up. It's the realm in which God's will is fulfilled. In God's kingdom, right? He sees us being together, not separate as men, right? Mm-hmm. He sees us having those tough conversations. He sees what Jeff said. We're basically measuring each other. We're holding each other accountable, right? Mm-hmm. We're basically, when you see a brother that's not holding the line, right, doing his part, you don't accept that. You call him out, and he accepts that because he knows that you have his back, right, in return.
Right.
I was reading before we got together, and one of my favorite parables came up. It just inspired me. This conversation. Our brotherhood and our friendship, and conversations that men have. Right, I equate it to one of my favorite uh, um, um, times that God is basically having a teaching opportunity. It's Mark 4, where it's the parable where he's talks about the sower and the soils, right?
Mm-hmm.
So and there's so many different interpretations as to what God is doing and what He's talking about at that time. But I'm thinking I want to mimic. If I can be so arrogant as to think that I could actually be in a position where I can motivate and inspire others with what I've been blessed with and what I know, right? So everyone's going to come into their relationship with Christ at a different time. And if I'm not there when that opportunity presents itself, if I'm not around them enough to help them to identify when that opportunity is there, if I can't hold them up, lift them up because I'm not present, because I'm distant, because I'm not part of their life, right? Then
Wow.
I failed them, right? They may not be able to. They might not necessarily be able to interpret what is going in their life at that time. You as a brother, you have an obligation to them to let them know God is calling you to do this. I'm telling you because I'm your brother and because I know that. That's what God is expecting you. And you don't let them fail. You don't let them. You offer you excuses. You hold them accountable. You inspire them.
Wow. Wow.
I think one of the last things that I wanted to add, I had the opportunity, hanging out with Q and fellows. We do we get together and we talk. But we at one time we were reading. We're reading different books. We would commit as brothers that we're going to read scripture, or we're going to read books. We're going to get together and talk about what we got out of that book. One of the books that I love was Resolution of Men. It literally broke me down. As a man, it talked about, and this is what Jeff was kind of talking about, and when it talks about society and what we have to do. So there are things that are called generational curses, right? And women are powerful. They bear some of the biggest burdens that we have in a family. But the burden falls on a man, right, to execute and explain to his kids, right, sons, daughters, right, and put them in a position where they're able to break those generational curses. And you do that by being accountable. You do that about talking about, understanding, the sacrifices it takes, right, based on, what this family has continued to do wrong, right? If it's the fact that we're not getting together as men, if it's the fact that we're not accepting responsibility that we have as men as far as fathers, right? If we're allowing our kids to model us in a situation where we're being weak because we can't basically show our weaknesses and not see the strength that's showing our weakness to our kids, right? So that they won't go after themselves, but they absolutely can reach out to you as a father and open up and be weak, right? Have that relationship with you, especially if they're men, right? To be able to connect with you and say, Dad, I'm struggling with this, and so on and so forth. If you can't show that to them, then who are they going to go to for that guidance, right? That's our obligation as men. We owe it to our families to take up together as arms, to fight those things that are basically, literally, at the devil's beckon, right? He's having his way. We are absolutely playing into his hand when we basically say that, I ain't got time. But I don't have time. No, we that's not even an option, right? And not being comfortable. No, it's not comfortable, is it, being a Christian man sometimes, right? But God says he talks about the lamp, right? You don't basically put the lamp in the cupboard or in the closet and close the door, right? You put the lamp out there for everyone to see it. You want that light to shine.
That's right.
So that's what we have to do as men. We have to get together and we have to shine. If you are that individual that can basically, if Jeff is the man that I want to be around because I want to love on the brother and I want the brother to make me want to kiss him on the lips, then I am going to absolutely hang out with my brother.
A word. Woo! Okay, well, I literally, now you don't know why I got that moment with God, because I literally was going to go to Byron and Jeff thinking I knew what was right, and I literally hear the Lord, Byron last, but I'm still going to go to Byron next. And I felt that thing in my back, which I know is the Lord telling me, what did I say to you? And I just knew, okay, I'm going to Jeff next. You know, I felt that. I know when the Lord is convicting me in that moment.
Jeff, you know, my brothers, they inspire me. Jeff, and I can absolutely relate to what X is saying. You know, Q is one of those guys that anytime I'm struggling, that's my man to call. You know, he's gonna break it down for me. He's gonna love on me. But Jeff will sit there and absolutely motivate you. You know what he does? I got all these thoughts going on in my head, and Jeff he puts those pieces together for me.
Yeah, that's
Bang.
Jeff. That's Jeff. Wow, man, this is just phenomenal. I knew with the topic was going to be big. I truly hope that you all got something, men and women. I truly hope, and I'm going to always say this, and I'm going to be cranking it up a notch, where you're going to be like, man, what's going on with TA? It's that accountability. It's exactly what we're talking about with men that we got to do even as women, is that when you know that God has fed you with something and you've got something in you, God is not just using that for you. He wants to make you an offering to somebody. He wants you to take what he just gave you and blessed you with, how he helped you, how he moved you, and he's saying, great. And like he told his disciples when they came to him, these people are hungry. He said, will you feed them? This is about us feeding people. This is where when we get on shows like this and we get fed by the Lord, because don't think this was Byron and Jeff and Xavier and Q and me. This show is always hijacked by the Lord. He has 100% ownership over this show. And he says certain things in a certain way, and he does them in a certain way to create certain moments in people. But here's that thing. When we do not share, when we do not tell people where you see God moving, then people truly become starved, not because there's not a well overflowing from God, is that people only want to drink for themselves and don't want to share a life of water with other people. This is where I'm going to tell you, this is a year where God has put me truly on fire, and I've watched him do things that we're about to do this year that I know he has paved the way. And so I am going to be calling people out. If I know you've been watching, I'm going to be looking at who's sharing. And I'm about to do something where we're going to reward people who share. Because to me, if you ate tonight and you got something that moved you, and it could have just been a French fry, then to me, God doesn't need a whole bag of a hamburger. He doesn't need all those things. He could do something with one fry. He could take that one fry and multiply it and break it like he did the fish and the bread, and even have fries left over. We are to be an offering. Take what you hear and apply it. Take what you hear and go share it. Take what you hear and tell everybody. This is not about TA. This is truly a production and shows and messages for God to get things that are needed right now. It's relevancy right now. And he's using us, all of us, to get to his children. And we've got to no longer be lukewarm. We got to be hot. We got to be bold. And we've got to always get in a community of sharing with other people. We have got to do that. Don't be scared of what people think. Don't be worried if people reject you. Jesus was rejected, and he still became the ultimate. He still is the ultimate. That couldn't even stop him because of the plans that was on his life. So you guys, I'm truly excited that you've joined us tonight. Thursday night is always going to be an hour and a half, 45 minutes or 2 hours, because we're here to talk and do work. And we're here to do work where I believe in my whole heart there's more work needed with men than there are with women. I'll say it because I believe that this is where if God can raise his minion, I'm going to say in game, enemy, in game. Because of what God wrote the men to be, the head of the spiritual realm. So if we can get men to talk, to take their positions, to band together, to love each other, kiss each other like Byron and Jeff, whatever it takes, the enemy knows it's over. Because like Q says, and I stand with him, and we've had many conversations, you get God's sons to rise, then the whole home, the family, the kids, the community, the government, finances, health, mental illness, everything will then rise. It is his sons, and that's why the enemy does not want his sons to connect, to bond, and to stand together. Y'all saw what happened in Band of Brothers. Come on, if you haven't seen the movie, just go call Q. He's seen it 50 times, y'all. That's what God has in his sons. And this is where the work has got to be done right here. So women, get
Amen.
your sons, get your brothers, get your husbands. Just go lay next to him and turn it on. I can tell you how many women are being strategic. They watch this show and sit next to their husband, and then their husbands are hopping on themselves. Let's get on fire in this ground right here, and let's plant it to where I don't care what comes tomorrow, it won't be uprooted because it's rooted in God. So I love you guys, brothers. I love you, Jeff. I love you, X. I love you, Bard. I love you, Q. You know I love you. We're real close. We're almost out of quarantine, Q. We got 3 days left.
You gotta quit getting your parole vote.
There you go. There you go. All right, I love you guys. And man, so glad all of you, man, many of you guys hopped on. Sorry I couldn't do shout outs, but so glad you're here. Derek, man, Herodes are so glad that you're here. Man, oh my God, there's so many people. Stephanie, Jim, Sebastian Gonzalez, so many of you guys. I'm so sorry. Many of you guys logged on. Edna Coffee, so glad you're here, you guys. Again, let's get hot. Let's share it, you guys. And we will see you next week. And for those of you that are ready to join me in the morning, okay, don't forget, we're going to be joining at 8:45 a.m. I want to make sure to get my little picture up here, make sure it's ready to go, and it may not be ready to go. But we're going to be doing it at 8:45 a.m. Central Standard Time, 9:45 on the East Coast, you guys. And we are going to be gathering in the morning for the Word Up, as we're going to literally break down 1 Corinthians. When Solomon's work is done, he has built the holy temple, and he is ready to dedicate it and ask God to come and consume it and come and take his place. My God, how he lays the law down as to how we are supposed to be and what he says his people will be for God. Oh, it's just beautiful. I'll probably get emotional as we go through it over the next couple weeks, you guys. So I will see you then. Brothers, see you next week. Have a good one, you guys. Good night. Bye-bye.